Got it.
We had $50,000 in the budget for this.
We did.
We only spent $24,000.
Correct.
And so there's still money left over, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
So to promulgate this sergeant's list, and I won't read all 16 names, but it's before you all. Is there a motion to accept this?
I make a motion to accept this.
Okay, Charlene, is there a second? Second, Commissioner Stone. All those in favor say aye.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Just if we could just promulgate the list as of July 3rd in the event that we are able to get those promoted positions, we won't have to give another test. We could pull the promoted positions off of this list. It will save us quite a bit of money in the future.
Okay. Yeah, and we can do that. And then the other, well, I'll talk about it. Well, I might as well talk about it now. In order to take this test, the officers, whether it's this or a lieutenant or anything, have to be in quote-unquote good standing. But there are some people with disciplinary actions against them, some with open IAs against them, but there is no definition of what good standing is. So moving forward, after these promotions, we need to get from the town attorney or in the contract some clarification of what an officer in good standing is, because, what is it? And all these people were allowed to take the test, so they were deemed in good standing. But when you look at it like, what is good standing? So it's not defined. So hopefully, working with the next chief, we can try to tighten that up so that there's what good standing is. And, you could have a frivolous civilian complaint that comes forward that accuses an IA, which shouldn't negate somebody from, taking a test. But,
Jamie, I have a question, Jamie.
Yeah.
Yeah, are any of the officers before us now not in good standing?
According to this, they're all in good standing, but a couple of them have had past disciplinary action, and a couple of them have open internal affairs investigations.
Okay.
And we're not going to name names at this point because it's a public meeting, but yeah. So there's, it's going to be probably something we should discuss in executive session at our next meeting.
I understand.
So go over that. I mean, they've all been deemed to be in good standing, so these lists are fine. But just moving forward, we gotta, figure that out. And now, all of these promoting.
Jamie, question. Could it be as simple as saying that as long as the officer hasn't been suspended, he's in good standing?
It could be, but some of the people on this list have been suspended. So,
well, in the past, but if they've, quote, straightened out, they can be in good standing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we just have to.
So we don't have to worry about the past.
We have to figure out what the verbiage is for good standing, because you could say this one's in good standing, this one's not, and Peter can probably answer this better, and then we open ourselves to lawsuits. So, I mean, there should be some sort of criteria for what a good standing is.
And typically what we would do in a situation like this is we'd reach out to other departments to see how they define good standing, and then we'd get our town attorney involved and get the union attorney involved, kind of get everybody to agree on what that language looks like. So, I mean, that's definitely on the, number 1 or 2 on the to-do list.
All right, yeah. So we'll have to redefine this. We'll define what good standing is for Fairfield moving forward. But at this point, these are all considered in good standing. These people, once promoted, are on a 6-month probationary period because of accreditation or level 3 accreditation that you guys now have.
That's right. The
So,
supervisory promotion, 6-month
Mhm.
probationary period.
Mhm.
yeah. So the only concern I have is that if the promotions are made and a couple of people at the top of these lists are under internal affairs investigations, and we just have to be very careful about this, because the last thing you want to do is promote somebody and then 2 months later demote them. So and we don't know. We'll discuss in executive session at the next meeting what these internal affairs investigations entail. Well, because I don't really have the exact details either. I just know that they exist. So,
Just one more. The definition of good standing aside, would that preclude them from taking the test, or would that give this commission the authority to not recognize them as a valid person on a promulgated list?
you have to be in good standing to take the test. So they were all deemed in good standing. So we're beyond the point of return on that.
Right, so we have no authority. If people are determined to be, quote, in good standing and they take a test, there's a list before us ranked in order that we can't say no to him, yes to him, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, you could vote not to approve this list, and then we could do it over again, but it's, at considerable cost.
Yeah, I hear you. No, I just didn't understand
Keep in mind, this list
where our
only
authority
goes for
started and
a
stopped.
year,
Yeah.
and then we'll do it again next year,
Okay.
So anybody who may have missed out on this time around will definitely have another bite at the apple, and there'll be more opportunities for promotion. So,
All right, thank you.
all right, so we had a motion by Commissioner Lebo to promulgate the sergeant's list, second by Commissioner Stone. Is there any further discussion? So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Okay, so that works. The next item on the agenda is to promulgate the lieutenant's list. Again, there are 9 candidates on the lieutenant's list that's before you. Is there a motion to promulgate this list?
Make a motion, promulgate the list.
Okay. All right, is there a second? Second, okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. And then, we have an executive session on here.
Oh, yeah, we do.
So is there anybody on this that shouldn't be?
The chief has the ability to remotely control blocking anyone out and locking the meeting so that it's just the commissioners participating. I have to recuse myself because of the subject matter.
Oh, okay.
So if I could just ask Charlene, if you wouldn't mind just keeping track of who makes the motions to enter and exit.
Want me to put on there?
At the end,
Sure,
yeah.
Okay.
Deputy Chief, I'm doing that on my end.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Chief.
You want me to do it or not?
That's fine.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Chief.
And I'll be
No
in
problem.
You guys
All right, thanks.
Okay, I make a motion that we go into executive session.
Okay, sure.
I second it.
Are you there?
Yes, I am
Peter?
just, you should hear Peter and myself.
I'm on. I'm on.
Okay. So there's a motion by Charlene to go into executive session. Is there a second?
Okay, want me to go get it?
Okay, we're out of executive session and back into public session. During executive session, no motions were made and no
No
votes
votes
were
were taken.
cast. And let me get the deputy chief.
I think that by virtue of allowing everybody to take the test, we got an issue. It's technically, you've established the standard.
And we already did that. No motions were made, no votes were cast. Okay, so following the executive session, we are going to be having a promotional oral board for police chief on July 16th. So in accordance with that, I'm going to make a few motions on the process. The first one is when considering the position of chief and or deputy chief, in the event that the deputy chief moves up, this test will be for both positions. So if the first person chosen becomes chief, and if that is the current deputy chief, then the next person on the list would assume the position of deputy chief. But I'll explain that a little further. But in this process, the commission can choose to stay inside the department or open up the process to candidates outside of the department. So I would like to make the motion and recommendation, and Chief, is this a recommendation to the first selectman, or is this just our motion?
I think you just make motions for the things that were discussed.
Okay, so the first motion I'd like to make is that the promotional examination for chief and potentially / deputy chief be open to candidates from inside the department only. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Stone. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, carries unanimously. Let's see. The second item on here is going to be,
Letter of
so the second motion that I'd like to make, and this concerns eligibility for people to participate in the test. Currently, there are 3 people under the current guidelines that are eligible to take the test: Deputy Chief Wiley, Captain Koval, and Captain Granata. In the past, several promotional things, including the most recent, which was the Deputy Chief, we waived that requirement to allow maximum participation of those people holding the rank to participate. So if we were to waive the eligibility requirement, that would make this test open to the Deputy Chief, Captain Cole, Captain Granata, and include Captain Irizarry and Captain Paris. So to be consistent with what we have been doing in the past and to allow, the commission the maximum number of candidates that they could see, I would make the motion that we waive the eligibility requirement to allow all current captains and the deputy chief to participate in the testing process. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Stone. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Peter?
Are we including Paris also? And that?
Captain Irizarry and Captain Paris get captured in this motion. So it would be all
I'm in favor.
captains and the deputy chief.
Yeah, like we
Then
did.
I'm in
So you're
favor.
in favor. There's opposed, abstentions. Okay, carries unanimously. And that's just keeping in tune with what we've done before. And, going forward, we may, whoever the next chief is, discuss this eligibility thing, because it's a young department and this hasn't really worked back in the day when everybody was long in the tooth and hanging in here forever, that was something. But now we've got a relatively young department, so it's good to, maybe just reconsider that based on what your rank is, or lessen it to something like 6 months, since you're probationary anyway, 6 months after when you're off probation. All right, so the next thing that I want to discuss and we'll make a vote on is defining the process. So I discussed this with the current chief and the first selectman and David Becker, and our agreement was that we should do this in the most cost-effective manner possible and in line with what we've done before, which is basically Now, we're looking at upper-level administration here, so we're not asking them what are the 7 exceptions to the search warrant. These are more global questions on management style and things like that. So what I would like to, well, let me discuss it before I make the motion, is that the commission ask the questions. I've already spoken with the chief. He will go out to a reputable testing company that they don't apparently charge for this, and he will field 10 questions. Those 10 questions will then be presented to the commission on the 16th, and we will pick 4 questions. We don't have to barrage these people with 7 questions.
No.
You know, these are, more global. And so the chief will vet the initial 10 questions and then give those questions to us. We'll review the questions on the day of the exam, before the exam, and then we'll pick 4.
And that very day.
Yeah, and then everybody, we have no advanced knowledge of what any of these questions are,
Yep.
you know, and then nobody else will either because there's 10 of them. So
Sure.
except for the current chief who's
Yeah.
vetting them. So does anybody have any discussion on that? So
I
then
do,
what we
Commissioner.
would do, what's that, Chief?
The only thing I might suggest is that those questions get directed directly to you.
To me instead of you to vet them out?
Yeah, well, I think any of the questions are going to be questions that are related to, related to that of a position of a chief. Well, I guess, yeah, I could get them and have you put on them at the same time, and then I will vet them out and send them to you.
Okay, does that sound good with everybody?
Yep.
I mean, I don't care if they came to me directly. I just think that probably the current chief looking at them, just in case they have some nuances that maybe don't relate to how things are run here, that he would know better than I would. So,
Understood.
all right, and then so that would be the process. Then what we would do is that night after the interviews, we would set a list of candidates, and what we do is we just rank them, down the list. We can discuss it that night, but there really wouldn't be a reason to hold that list open unless, because we'd probably want to start from scratch again, because then there'll be a new captain and new stuff in the event that somebody, the chief or deputy chief, moves on again to somewhere else. This is my 4th chief, man. But we can discuss it that night. So, all right, so right now I'll just make the motion that we are going to be holding a meeting of the Police Commission on July 16th, starting at 4:30 p.m. For the purpose of evaluating candidates for the position of chief and or deputy chief. And the process will be as follows. The current chief, Calamaris, will seek out a reputable testing company to provide him with 10 questions that he will vet out. Those questions will then be provided to the Police Commission shortly after the convening the July 16th meeting at 4:30 p.m. for the Commission to review those questions and pick 4 questions to be asked to the candidates. The candidates applying shall be asked to submit a letter of application to the Chief of Police, which will then be forwarded to the Police Commission Chair and Secretary, along with a resume. We will, once we convene on that night, we will select those questions. The candidates will be asked those questions. The candidates will then be ranked by the Police Commission in descending order. In the event that the Deputy Chief position becomes vacated by the current Deputy Chief moving to Chief, We will then continue on the list, taking the next person in order to be named as the new deputy chief. So that's my motion. Is there,
Could you just add one thing?
sure.
The date, the deadline by which you would like the application and resumes for the commission's review.
Okay, so amending that motion, that we would like the resumes and applications due by a week from today, July 3rd. Is that good?
Well, I would think that,
Is that too soon?
yeah, July 4th is coming up, and right after July 4th.
All right, well, maybe if let's say, just in case they're away, how about July 11th, Friday, July 11th? That's the Friday before the test.
It gives us enough time.
That gives us enough.
So they would have to submit the application, a letter of,
Yeah.
instead of application, letter of interest to the chief of police and resume to the chief of police on or before July 11th, 2025.
I second that motion.
Okay, so you second the whole thing, Peter?
I second the whole thing, yes, I do.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Okay, now going back to, I'd like to make an amendment to the promulgation of the sergeant and lieutenant list.
Mm-hmm.
And the amendment would be that the promulgation of the list become effective July 17th of 2025
Mm-hmm. I'll second that.
upon selection,
Right.
following the
So for
selection of the
new
new
chief.
chief.
I think, since we've already voted on it, I think the motion needs to be to reconsider something that we voted on earlier, and then it opens it back up to be
Oh,
amended to be
okay.
voted
All right,
on
so I'll make the motion to reconsider the motion for the promulgation of the sergeant and lieutenant's list for reconsideration.
I'll second that.
Second?
Mhm.
Commissioner Lebo, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstention?
So you're within the same meeting, and now it's opened back up.
Okay,
Right.
so I would like to make a motion that we promulgate the sergeant's list as presented to us, with an, well, before I do this, Chief and Deputy Chief, are you good with the date of the 17th?
That works.
That's fine, because by then we'll know who the new chief is, and then any promotions should be obviously done under whoever's next. So, all right, so I'll make the motion that we promulgate the sergeant's list, and that will go into effect as of July 17th, 2025. Is there a second to the motion?
Second, but are you doing them separately?
I second the motion.
Yeah.
Okay, yep, I second it.
Okay, all those in favor of the promulgation of the sergeant's list effective July 17th, 2025, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions? Now I'd like to make a motion to promulgate the lieutenant's list as presented to us, to be effective as of July 17th, 2025. Is there a second to the
I'll
motion?
second that one, too.
Second,
Mhm, yeah.
Commissioner Lebo. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions? Okay, carries unanimously. So I do not believe that there's any more, we'll leave all these papers here. Is there any other further business anybody else to discuss?
I have notes on here.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Just a
Okay,
quick,
Well,
motion-
I have a question, if I may.
Okay,
Should I look into the issue of good standing?
I think the town attorney's gotta do that, just because,
Yeah,
it's
that's fine.
eventually gonna be their
Yeah.
decision.
So,
That's
so who's gonna follow the chair?
The chief is,
Yeah.
right, chief?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
If you just would ask him the specific question, if the standard is different for an law enforcement agent.
Yeah, hold on, I have some here.
As opposed to civilian.
Correct,
okay,
because there's two different standards,
yeah.
I'd imagine.
All right.
Commissioner Kiley, a question?
Just a quick one, Chief. Will Lieutenant Klein be running this process as he's recently done, as far as the resumes, the books, and the information flow?
No, I will collect all the information and forward that information to the
Yeah.
commission.
Yeah, there's not gonna be.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure who was responsible
Yeah,
for the
so
work.
the chief will handle the,
All that
Yeah.
stuff. Okay, cool, thanks.
all right.
I'd like to make a comment, if I may, quick comment. I want
Go
to
ahead.
thank I'd like to thank Commissioner Billington for effectively running the meeting. You did a wonderful job tonight.
Well, thanks.
Agreed.
Great job, Jamie.
Great job as always, Chair.
All right, well, Commissioner Blanco makes a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
that one.
Commissioner Kiley, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions, and we are adjourned at 5:46.